Hey guys, Jay here. Welcome to Models Memories Weekly, episode 11, Solo, a Star Wars paint job. Models Memories is a show about nothing filmed in front of a live studio audience. And stay tuned all the way till the end to see a montage of painted models courtesy of the EOB Complete community. This is a show where I talk about my modeling, painting, and wargaming experiences from the week, and I end every episode with a story. Now you might think to yourself, Jay, you put out 3 YouTube videos a week and you stream every single night. How could you have more to say? Well, I do. And here it goes. This week, I really put the pedal to the metal and I got a bunch of painting done for Star Wars Legion. I found these Rebel Troopers super fun to paint up. I painted one for a video and I found it painted up really quick. I painted up in 1 hour. And so I thought to myself, big old light bulb popped up. I can paint one of these a day. I can have a win every single day. I can start to finish a model. And so I did that for 2 days and I was feeling so great that I thought, well, why don't I paint a bunch? And the next day I got 2.5 done, and that started the beginning of the ruination. A little bit, I mean, I got a bunch done, but I probably should have just kept it to 1 model a day. Because once I had models that were in stages of being finished, I finished 2 more, but all 4 of these minis now need their faces touched up. And so really, I think if I had done 1 a day, I would have been in a better spot. Because now I have to go back and correct all these. Not correct, but like finish them all. And then I can varnish them and put them on the bases and they'll be nice and done. So maybe that's planned for next week. But I also, I bought something. I got these Fleet Troopers. I was in a very Star Wars Legion mood. I was excited because I was getting models done. And so I thought, well, I need these guys. They're like the first Star Wars thing you see in Star Wars. And so I got them and I painted them. And they actually painted up really, really nice. It took me forever to figure out exactly what color their clothing was. I ended up just doing exactly like the box, but I looked online and I saw some that were kind of purpley, and I thought, I bet that's right. And so I put together all these colors and I mixed it up and I had a perfect purple, and then I put that on, and I'm like, that's not right, it's blue. So I went back and I redid them all with blue, but they turned out really, really nice. There's something about the Legion models, they're a little bit more army men. In their sculpts, everything is a little exaggerated and silly. They're really, really easy to paint and they look nice. It's just exciting to have a little bit of Star Wars on the desk. But I think I'm gonna keep on cranking away at some Star Wars Legion. I'm so close with Malifaux. It is a blast to be working on some other stuff. But now that I am going balls deep into some other war games, it's actually making me really excited for 40K again, because now that I've taken a little time off of only 40K forever and always, all of a sudden 40K is looking pretty nice. 9th edition seems cool. All these new codexes coming out, all these new armies are getting OP. I think I want to take a crack at some 40K, especially with my Necrons, because I already got that codex. And speaking of 40K and Games Workshop, Age of Sigmar, this week they showed off the Age of Sigmar Indominus box called Dominion, but it's basically the exact same thing as Indominus because it comes with 2 full armies and the core rulebook. And holy moly, it is glorious. I know I had plans on getting into Age of Sigmar. I was thinking Seraphon, but I could be persuaded by these new Stormcast Eternals. And boy, what an army that needed a range refresh. I mean, Stormcast Ethereals were lounging. I mean, some of their models are like 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old, some of them. I mean, what are we gonna do? I do love the new Stormcast Eternals. I think I would be a little annoyed if I collected a giant army of Stormcast Eternals and now they're coming out with like the new perfected sculpts. But I do like the changes that they've made. And I don't have any Stormcasts right now, so no problem jumping onto the new models. But they've done a really smart thing where the old Stormcasts were like, they were Space Marines for Age of Sigmar. They were chunky, they were thick, they were covered in cloaks and banners and basically purity seals and all reliquaries and chains and gizmos and gadgets. Their weapons were pretty much sci-fi-y, like they had crossbows that didn't have strings, they just shot things with magic. It was really cool. I really liked the Stormcast Eternals. It's like I didn't know what I didn't like about them until I saw what I liked a lot more. And the new Stormcast Eternals are slick. They've reduced them down in size dramatically. So regular Stormcast Eternals are now just like buff human beings that are wearing some armor, and it looks really, really, really slick. The scaling down, it makes them a little bit more plausible. It makes it feel like they're mortal, even though they're technically immortal because of the lore of Age of Sigmar. But I love the new Stormcast Eternal look. And now there's like the normal human Stormcast Eternal, and then there's the Terminator Stormcast Eternal, which is the Chunkster. And so I like it when you can kind of see models and get them. Like I feel like the old Stormcast Eternal range, it was just an army of Terminators that all had different weapons. And so it's like, well, yeah, that guy has a bow, a magical bow and arrow, but he's also built like a tank. I mean, I'm sure he's good in close combat. Whereas these new guys, like, okay, that's an archer and he has a bow, which is good because it does not look like that armor could stop an Orc Mega Nob. Probably not an Orc Mega Nob, a Age of Sigmar Super Nob. But I really, really dig the new Stormcast Eternals and the new Orcs. Little Lord of the Ringsy, I really like it. I like that they now have the silly Orcs and the scary Orcs. Like they're really kind of disgusting and gross. They have really long torsos and skin and little tiny legs. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, great box. I think I'm gonna be trying to get my hands on it. Gonna have to beat all of you out to get that box. But yeah, Age of Sigmar looks really fun. Also this week, maybe another reason why I want to get back into 40K, I finished a Black Library audiobook. I finished Indomitus. Nope, I've read that one before. I finished Apocalypse by Josh Reynolds, and it was pretty good. Apparently this book came out alongside the Apocalypse rule set, which is actually a separate website from Games Workshop, because Games Workshop I think they want to collect them all like Pokemon in terms of website domains, because they have different websites for some products, like it's ridiculous. Like their art, they have one website just for their arts. They have another website just for their Apocalypse. Obviously, they have their Warhammer community separate from their web page, from their website where you can buy the minis, which is great. Keep it separate. That way you have to leave to go shop for models. Brilliant. But I finished, and it was a really fun book. It follows the adventures of a Space Marine crusade on a mission to defend a world from a chaos insurrection, or a chaos insurgent, and it follows the Imperial Fists, the White Scars, and the Raven Guard. And it's led by a Primaris lieutenant leading Firstborn. No, but I actually really like what the Primaris do for Space Marines. I feel like it does make them a little bit more interesting. I know Primaris had a rocky start when Call showed up and he was like, here, all the Primaris Marines. But actually, I think the Primaris really do something nice for the Space Marines, because the Space Marines are all brotherhood, honor. We've been fighting side by side for 10 billion years, and isn't it great? And it gets a little old. Like you kind of get those stories. And so I really like the new Primaris coming in, because it adds like mistrust between the different factions of Space Marines. The Primaris Space Marines who swelled the ranks from the Call, they have 30K brains. Like they lived their lives during the Horus Heresy. And so now they're faced with this new universe that they're not a part of. They didn't really have a part in building it. In fact, they spent their lives fighting in battles to prevent this world that they're now living in. And so it really leads to some interesting stuff. And I love that some Space Marines kind of look to them as upgrades. They're kind of excited by the Primaris Space Marines, but then other Space Marines kind of distrust them, and they think that they're awful or mean or secretive or evil or just not worthy to be Space Marines. And it kind of leads to that kind of breaking up of the Space Marines, they just don't work together perfectly, and that conflict creates for really interesting stories. And it makes for really interesting moments when Space Marines overcome those flaws and they learn to work together, or when Space Marines don't, and then they end up beating the crap out of each other. I think it just makes for really interesting Space Marine stories when Space Marines aren't perfect, when they actually have flaws. I mean, there's 25 books of the Horus Heresy just because Space Marines couldn't get along? And because the Primarchs couldn't get along. I mean, Space Marines are touted, especially in the codexes, as these larger than life, built machines that are barely human. They're just war machines. They're a one-man army built for nothing but battle. But then when you just get down to it and you're reading the things that they say, they're just people. I mean, they have their own thoughts, their own beliefs, their own worries, their own wishes, their own problems to overcome. I mean, they even have their own preferences and hairstyles. Like the Space Wolves love drinking booze. The White Scars love their fun hair, and they love telling jokes. I mean, what's more human than a sense of humor? And in all of these books I'm reading, the Space Marines, they're just folks. And that's what makes them interesting. They are separate from humanity because of their transhuman physiology. But I think the reason that Space Marines work in the storytelling is because it's in opposition to what they are built as in the fluff, which is these engineered organic monstrosities. I mean, if you read the rule book to Space Hulk, it has some of my favorite illustrations of Space Marines where they're all just ugly and scarred and horrifying. And I do like that version of Space Marines where they are barely human, but I also like the stories where they're just fellas. I think that little yin and yang that makes Space Marines complicated is actually what makes them interesting. Because otherwise it would just be, brother, we will fight in the name of the Emperor. Thumbs up. That'd be every Space Marine novel. So anyway, I like Primaris, and what was I talking about? I read a book, it was pretty good. But the book was about fighting off a chaos invasion, and the big crux of the book was there is a secret on this world. It is an ecclesiarchy homeworld of little import, and so the Space Marines are very confused on why they are being sent here to defend it from chaos. But steep in the bowels of the planet, there is a super secret World Bearers Contemptor Dreadnought, and the World Bearers Chaos Space Marine Legions are coming to reclaim him. And I've never been a huge fan of the Contemptor Dreadnought. I love the old big boxy Games Workshop Dreadnoughts, but after reading this book, I kind of do want a Contemptor Dreadnought. This character in this book is so cool and so interesting, and actually has pretty big ramifications for the lore of 40K in general. I kind of do want one. I don't know though if I can go Forge World, because Forge World, it's $100 for a Contemptor Dreadnought. Nah, that's not gonna happen. I know Games Workshop does make the plastic Contemptor Dreadnought, the Rigor Mortis pattern Dreadnought, and I might be picking that up and then just chopping the heck out of it. Maybe I can make a video, something like fixing the world's worst 40K model, because the Rigor Mortis pattern Dreadnought is not beloved, but I think I could do some work with it. And then if I only have to buy the Forge World arms, I think maybe then I could bring the costs down enough to make this little project viable. But really, pretty cool book if you like the war stories of 40K. This is probably a pretty good book because it's mostly about a war. I mean, the first half is all Space Marines preparing for a battle, and then the second half is all a big battle. So, decent book. Not my favorite. I think Infinite and the Divine with Trazing the Infinite and Oricon the Diviner was my favorite book I've read. But pretty good, pretty solid. 9 out of 10, it sucks. But that's enough of 40K. These are the models I worked on this week, and if you want to see us do lots more fun games in the Warhammer hobby, the best way to support us is by becoming a member of our Patreon. Over there, you'll gain access to some behind the scenes voting on what models I paint live on YouTube, and a live hobby hangout every week. But that is the wargaming and hobbying I did this week. Now, it's time for a story. Models in Memory is called Models in Memories because of how the models contain memories. For me and my collecting brain, I remember everything about all of these objects and the moments and memories I had experienced while building and collecting them. And this week, I'll talk about this. This is a Lego set that does this. That's a little crank. One day I would like to shove a motor in here and just let it go wild and like melt the plastic. But this is the Lego Forma Koi Fish. Now you might have never ever heard of this Lego product because this was never available from stores. This was Lego's first and only Indiegogo campaign. I know, wild. I'm still a little confused on exactly what happened, but a few years ago, in 2018, I wanna say, Lego announced that they were starting a Indiegogo campaign for a new product called Forma, which was Lego aimed at adults. And the weird thing about that is they already had the couple of Lego products aimed at adults, which was Architecture, which you can buy at like bookstores and stuff, And they have Lego Ideas, which is a website where people can come up with Lego sets. They can even make them in things like Lego Digital Designer or stud.io. And then people, just regular Lego fans, can vote, and if they get enough thumbs up, Lego will take a look at them and see if they can turn them into real sets. And we've gotten a lot of really cool sets that way. I know Lego Wall-E, I believe, was a Lego Ideas. I think they recently did the Friends set, or maybe it was Big Bang Theory set. But that is how Lego makes products for adults. And so this came out of nowhere. And so the thing about this adorable koi was it was available to buy. Presumably they already had it finished because on their campaign they had beautiful videos of people building this model, of showing it off. They had this kit, and you could also buy different kind of plastic skins. Obviously this isn't pure Lego. I mean, it's pure Lego in that Lego made these plasticky fins. But usually, like in a classic Lego kit, this would all be like studs and panels and stuff. But I don't know if this just was so unique that they couldn't fit it into their regular lineup, or if they just wanted to try something out. But yeah, they only ever sold this once. I don't know if they really sold that many, because they've never done it again. And so I don't know what to think about this. I think it's part of the reason though why it was so appealing to me, because it's so odd that Lego would make this product. And I have a couple of theories that I hope happened to make this set possible. I hope that maybe a Lego designer, this was their baby, this was their set, and they're like, let me do the koi, people will love it. And Lego's like, no, we're not doing the koi, make a real Lego set. And they're like, I'll show you. And they put together an Indiegogo campaign, and Lego's like, sure, go ahead. And they sold a few. That is option number one. This could also have been just one of the many things I'm sure sitting on the Lego shelves of ideas. And they thought, we need to make a little bit more money this quarter. Like, we need just a little bit more money this quarter. So go turn that koi into a product. We'll make it, you know, we'll just make them as orders come in. And so Lego started an Indiegogo campaign for that. It is kind of unique. I know there are some Lego sets that have a technical aspect. They can do a thing, but this is pretty unique. And they haven't done anything like this. It really does kind of have a nice motion. Will it work like this? It has a shut off for some reason that doesn't let it turn if it's like knocked over. Yeah. But yeah, another thing that really drew me to this was it wasn't too expensive. It was like $40, which is kind of expensive for this. I think in terms of piece to part, you usually want about 10 cents a brick for a Lego set to be a good deal. And I think this was probably a bit more. But compared to other Lego sets aimed at adults, where usually if they're like, these are adults, they have some cash to spend. We'll make it $100, $200. But you know, $40, I thought this will look nice on the shelf. It has a really weird story to go along with it. And really that's what drew me in, is the weird story of Lego's one and only Indiegogo Kickstarter project. Indiegogo and Kickstarter are different, but are they? But yeah, what a weird little note. A little hiccup in Lego's design, because this could go in stores. Like, people would buy this. I mean, they make the architecture sets, and the architecture sets are lame. I mean, they're kind of cool looking, but like, a little Statue of Liberty with $65. It's gonna look nice on my desk until a student steals it. Like, I don't know. I think this is cooler than Lego architecture. And they actually did come out with some different skins. 3 of the skins were koi. This is the normal one. But there was also a shark skin that was pretty cool. I think the skins were like $15 a pop. And they actually invented this new Lego piece, which I don't think they've ever used anywhere else. But it's like a little pop socket. And you shove them through this plasticky stuff, and then it holds really strong to the point where you really can't get them out of there. So yeah, they invented a whole Lego piece for this set. And it seems like usually they only invent Lego pieces when they can get a lot of use out of them. So that begs the question, did they plan on doing a whole bunch of these? Like, it's called Lego Forma. This set was called Lego Forma Koi Fish. They've never made another Lego Forma set. But did they plan on having like a running cheetah, you know, an elephant stomping around? That could have been cool. I don't know if this just got no reaction, or if the reaction was just kind of so that they didn't feel like continuing. Just a very odd thing indeed. But I kind of love it, and I kind of love having one. It's a little fun treasure of the Lego universe. You know, why have a really, really cool set when you can have kind of a dumb set with a good story? And I remember buying this set. I bought it when I was living in Milwaukee, and I think I just needed some Lego to distract me from life. But it is fun. Lego is a very, very fun, easy kind of escapism thing. Like it's really easy to throw a couple of hours into a video game, but then you hate yourself because you lost those hours in that video game. But Lego, it's right here. It's right there. I can love it. I can look at it on the shelf. I'm just feeling down. I can sit there and just start to spin it. And all of a sudden my mood's increasing. It's getting better. Just a nice little set. But that is the story for this week's Models and Memories Weekly episode Han Solo, or whatever episode this is. But with the story done, it is now time for EOB Complete. We put out a challenge to our community to send us before and after photos of their recently finished models to be immortalized in our videos. If you want to join in the fun, you can submit a before and after photo of your painted mini to our Discord server, which you can find in the description below, or you can post it to Instagram with the hashtag EOBComplete. Without further ado, let's look at and get inspired by what the folks have finished this week. A Mortarian by Tweepler, a Chibi Sisters of Battle by Kevin Taz, a Heavy Weapons Team by Ed Scar, a Hexmark Destroyer by Nazazu, a Space Wolf Drop Pod by Johnny T1390, an Orc Warrior by TheRaging Modeller, a Primaris Captain by Huntron, a Grim Churchill Battle Tank by Just Make Stuff, a Malifaux Field Reporter by Calamity, a Commissar by Pa Martin, an Invictor Tactical Warsuit by Guyman Hype, a Scorpek Lord by Sire Smashy, a Chaos Titan by M. James, a Primaris Captain by Unbecant LP, a Warrior by The Bee, a Sisters of Battle Army by Lookout Science, some Scorpek Destroyers by Brett S., a Scary Dragon by OG JT Money, a Chaos Space Marine by Mommy Negan, a Black Coach by Badman, a Primaris Chaplain by Robert Hasdowns Jr., a Raging Viking by Andi Crimson, a Demon Prince by Darth Cinema, a Chaos Space Marine Captain by Not So Pro Painter, a Primaris Chaplain by Justice Bell, a Stormcast Eternal by Sev, and a Necromunda Ganger by Matthew. Congratulations to everyone for a job well done. It's no small feat to get paint on a mini, and you all should feel really proud. Nothing gets the hobby juices flowing like finishing a project, and we thank you for sharing your work, motivating us and the hobby community to paint our plastic. Thanks for sharing.